Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing fantastic out there this morning, even though for a lot of folks, we are returning back to work. The holiday period is now behind us, and we have to get back to the normal workflow of things. For some people, you've had the last maybe 10 days off, the last week off, or just took advantage of those long weekends, kind of like I did. But unfortunately, we do head back to work for most of us. But regardless of your situation, I certainly hope you make today a great one. Here to talk about what's going to happen weather-wise for your Tuesday. We will not stay very long on that just because it's not a super active weather day, but we will talk about that. We never want to get away from that because, a lot of people do tune in these videos to see what's going to happen weather-wise for this specific day out in front of us. We'll speak on that, and then, of course, take advantage of those timestamps, guys. We will speak on all three of these storm systems right out ahead of us. This first one that's going to unfold over the next 24 to 48 hours, which you can already see on your screen here in the south central U.S., will not be a big deal at all, but we will give you some updated information about it. And then this next storm system, which I will now call storm system number 1, is going to be a major winter storm for areas in the Mid-Atlantic and New England, and even maybe areas into the Ohio Valley. We need to speak on this because we do have some new information for you folks, just like we always do in these videos. And then there's another system behind this. Back-to-back major storm systems, I think in my mind, are no doubt going to happen. I think the second one could have more of a severe element to it, more dynamic, and could potentially be more dangerous for sure. So if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I want to say thank you all for the amazing support. I'm about to hit 60,000 subscribers. The growth has been unreal over the last 2 weeks, so thank y'all for everything. Welcome to any new subscribers. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. Not only do I pray over it, but others do too. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. So what's going on out there right now? Well, you can already see our big weekend storm system beginning to enter the picture. This is part of the energy that will eventually deliver winter weather for areas in the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast this weekend. But this is kind of a quick-hitting system right out in front of us over the next 24 to 48 hours, already delivering some moisture across areas of southern New Mexico, maybe a little bit of freezing rain actually falling in western Texas. You guys will actually have to let me know if that's falling. And then there's some northern stream energy up here. They are going to phase a little bit too late, well out into the Atlantic, but this will deliver some energy across the eastern U.S. over the next 24 to 48 hours. But all in all, it's a pretty quiet start to your Tuesday morning across the lower 48, besides this rain in the Pacific Northwest. As far as thunderstorms today, there is a general risk of thunderstorms from Abilene all the way to New Orleans, all the way to Gulfport, Mississippi, all the way down to Brownsville, Texas. Not quite up to Dallas, but that could tweak. But just a general risk of thunderstorms. Not a big deal. Excessive rainfall outlook below 5%, so it's not even on the map, so no real risk of flash flooding today. Watches, warnings, advisories. I think as we get day by day into the future, this will begin to look littered with advisories, watches, and warnings and all those things. And you can already tell we're waking up this morning with much more activity showing up compared to the last couple of days out west. Winter weather advisories up for the Sierra Nevada. So winter storm warnings up for the northern sections and higher elevations of California. Even winter weather advisories down here for the mountains of southern Cal. Winter weather advisory up for a few counties in Nevada. There's some dense fog across the west too. Still got freeze watches up for southeast Georgia. Very surprised you guys have not got freezing temperatures. Yeah, I'm sure some people have, just not everybody in this region. So the Southeast, let's talk about it. We won't spend very long just because there's not a whole lot going on, but we're getting into this morning, midday, this afternoon. Then this evening, some moisture begins to enter the picture, but more so just for the south central frame. But as we're making our way into the overnight hours, some rain will move on shore into the New Orleans, Baton Rouge area, the bayou of Louisiana. Rain beginning to enter the western the western areas. I know you don't have counties in Louisiana. Western areas of Louisiana, southwest Arkansas. And we take it all the way to Wednesday morning. We're waking up to a wet start along the Gulf coastline and all the towns and communities and beaches for these areas. So this will be our system that tries to deliver a sneaky wintry mix for northern Georgia, maybe northern Alabama, and certainly the mountains of North Carolina. But we'll speak on that here in a second. The Northeast, it's a quiet weather day. Enjoy the quietness because it will not be like this weekend. Getting into this evening, getting into later overnight, getting into tomorrow morning, and then this is when this energy from the northern stream flies over, and then this starts to kick start For your Wednesday morning, some lake effect energy off of Erie and Lake Ontario. You see you're waking up to a streamer just south of Buffalo, kind of around the Watertown area, some light snow, and you can see a lot more energy moving in tomorrow morning from the west and northwest. You can see the snow already popping off Lake Huron into southern Ontario. But today, it's not a very active day. South central U.S., some moisture begins to get pulled up from this system. So we'll have some showers from Brownsville all the way to central areas of Texas. And then as we're getting into this afternoon, could get some heavier rain in central Texas. Maybe some thunderstorms down here. There's better thermodynamics. Later this evening, getting into the overnight hours, the rain really shifts to eastern Texas. And there's that rain we talked about that could kind of come on shore from the Gulf of Mexico and southeast Louisiana. And then this rain kind of fizzles out up here in northeast Texas, southern Arkansas, but definitely some light and moderate rain. It's the wee hours of the morning tomorrow morning, and then this moves on off. How much rain between now and the next 24 hours in Texas, Louisiana? Some areas will certainly get close to about an inch. This is the National Weather Service forecast. You're going for an inch and a quarter and around the Houston area along the southeast coastline of Texas, maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter. Central Texas, a half inch to an inch of rain, and southern sections of Louisiana, kind of the common thing. So certainly, I would say washout criteria in these areas, in certain areas today. North central U.S., most of the day is quiet, and then that energy later this evening begins to work its way in from Canada, move over, northeast areas of Minnesota, might give you guys a little light snow later overnight, and then the cold shot moves over Lake Superior, kickstarting that lake effect snow, and you guys have just been snow starved up here so far this winter. This is what I think is the beginning stages of adding back in that snowpack up here. Snow is beginning to fall in the UP and Michigan. I think it could be heavy in certain areas. Snow begins to pop off Lake Michigan and affect areas on the eastern side of Lake Michigan like it normally does. And if we keep this going, I think it could be a wintry day in all of Michigan tomorrow for sure. But looking at between now and this evening, not a whole lot. But as we get into the overnight hours, you can see a couple inches of snow begins to add up in areas of the UP. And these kind of favored areas, depending on where the orientation of the flow is, moving over these Great Lakes region. And then, wow, it just skips right into Thursday morning. That's cool. But, between now and the next 48 hours, a decent event. Not a whole lot. Not one of those huge lake effect snow events, but certain areas will get a little bit of snow back on the ground in these areas for sure. Somebody could sneak in 6 inches of snow, especially in this area kind of right in here in the UP. So not a big event at all. The western U.S., a little bit more active today. I would say it's the most active area out here as far as today's forecast. Moisture continues to move in throughout the morning, getting into this afternoon, and you stop right here later this afternoon. There's some heavy moisture moving into northern and northwest California. Higher elevation snow certainly falling. Cascades starting to get some snow. And, a lot of moisture. Nothing too crazy. But, we starting to get into the overnight hours. Heavy snow begins to fall in the Sierra Nevada. Nothing worth them dropping a winter storm warning over. But they do have winter weather advisories up. And I think some heavy snow could fall in the Sierra Nevada and California. Snow, light to moderate snow for you guys as standards in the Cascades. And then more moisture continues to make its way in tomorrow morning also. Just rounds. I think you're waking up to some rain tomorrow morning in LA to San Diego. It's cold enough for snow in most of Nevada, eastern areas of Oregon. So how much precipitation between now and the next 24 hours? Not a whole lot. Eugene, Medford, these areas, Portland, 1/10 to a quarter inch of rain. This is not cold enough for snow for you folks. And then, you look at the snowfall forecast from this just between now and the next 24 hours. Just a little bit. Not a whole lot at all. California, between now and the next 24 hours, most of the heavier precipitation will be in kind of central to more so northern California. But you look at the snow from this, it really adds up overnight tonight. And if you go on and just take it out another 24 hours, that's feet of snow in the Sierra Nevada. But look at the snow. Blanketing areas of Nevada. So higher elevation snow, winter storm warning criteria snow in northern Cal. Temperatures, a chilly kind of January type day across the south. 40s, 50s for highs. This is kind of more so January type conditions. You can tell, there's some dry air in place. This rain in these areas down here is going to be a pretty chilly rain. So it's pretty wild having temperatures in the 40s and 50s. With a chance of thunderstorms. So a chilly rain in Texas today. Pretty cold up here in the northeast, but you're still above average for a lot of areas. Still above average up here in the upper portion of the country for sure. And then, God, I got so many tabs pulled up. The western U.S., it's pretty chilly for certain areas, especially where this rain is moving in. It's cooling you guys down, especially in the southwest. But the Rockies is still pretty much above average temperature-wise. So let's talk about this, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, and I'll be happy when we can kind of get past this event so I don't feel obligated to talk about it, but I just don't want it to sneak up on me. I really don't. Wednesday afternoon, the moisture that we just spoke on for, Texas and Louisiana begins to move east. It's going to be a rainy day tomorrow across the deep south. But as this continues, the latest Euro, we're getting into tomorrow evening, there's a little bit of blue showing up in North Georgia. I think there's still a potential for northern Alabama to get a rain-snow mix. And then I do think we'll get some light snowfall accumulations in the mountains of North Carolina. There it is. I think this shows it well. Just rain down here in most of Georgia, South Carolina. And it really misses a lot of areas in North Carolina. Just a chilly rain overnight tomorrow night into Thursday morning for the eastern Carolinas. But I do think there'll be a stripe of some light snowfall accumulations as we're getting into Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And then you see all the northern stream energy firing off, getting those lake effect snows kind of excited up here. I think we'll get some northwest flow action in West Virginia. Very wintry times coming for the state of West Virginia. It's already been very wintry for our first weekend. Technically it was our last weekend of 2023, but snow flying around here in the interior areas of New England. You keep this going, but it's a miss. This does try to phase together a little bit later on down the road, but later on down the road as well out into the Atlantic Ocean. So this energy does not phase together to be a big event with this. But I do want to watch my folks down here in the southeast. This is the latest HRRR model. It's a miss. The latest HRRR, I remember that NAM that was showing accumulating snow for North Alabama, North Georgia, etc. Well, the HRRR model, remember I said we need to get in range of this to really see what's going on. The HRRR model says this moisture's not even going to make it far enough north. I just don't like the NAM. And people, it's funny, people in weather community will let it get them excited. And those are the same people that's saying the NAM is horrible, but they'll let it get them excited every time. And there's no... it's not a big deal if you get excited. It's just when it doesn't happen, don't get over flooded with the negativity, and which offsets all the positivity that you had. It's funny, the weather's weird. When you're really passionate about it, you take it serious. But, you're starting to get into tomorrow evening. You got some light snow showing up. I think more than this will actually be around. Some snow is actually trying to show up in areas of, Kentucky, some light snow showers. But I do think this will happen. I think we'll get a little bit of snow in far eastern Kentucky, especially the higher elevations, and some heavier snow begins to move into West Virginia. The NAM with this, same thing. It does show a little bit of a mix here in northeast Georgia, but it's just not much, guys. There's that snow showing up behind this, not much at all. And, snow from the next, it's basically between now and Friday morning. Another couple inches of snow is possible in West Virginia, and it does have trace amounts to maybe a half inch of snow in the Smokies. I could see somebody getting an inch or two of snow from this in the higher elevations of North Carolina. I definitely could. Now, the northern stream energy of this, lake effect snow mainly driven event. You can see it coming off Lake Ontario, a few inches, maybe somebody will sneak in a half a foot. Same thing south of Buffalo, a couple inches of snow, Erie, maybe an inch and a half. This is the National Weather Service forecast, and there it is for the southern shorelines of Lake Superior, and then coming off Lake Michigan, and then, of course, you folks in southern Ontario would definitely get some snow off Lake Huron. But moving past that, this is our big event. I would call it storm system number 1 now, not the one we just talked about. And here it comes, moving into the western shorelines. Already, this is starting to move in today. This is, remember when we just talked about today's forecast? That is the same storm system that's moving in. So we kind of already talked about that. Let's get into Wednesday morning. Let's get into Wednesday. There's the heavy snow from this system moving throughout Nevada. Some light and moderate snow throughout Utah. Heavier snow down here in northern Arizona and these higher elevations. Maybe Flagstaff gets some appreciable snowfall totals. And that there's going to be some more energy back behind this too. I think the one interesting thing that we need to watch is backside energy behind this main one chunk of a piece of energy, because this is not going to really have two areas of energy phasing together. This is one dominant southern stream shortwave piece of energy. But as we are starting to get into Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, hefty snow events showing up from the latest Euro in the northern half of New Mexico. Okay. Now, what about precipitation from this? This takes us, and let's go a little bit further. Let's go all the way out to, Friday morning. There's the snow across Colorado, and there's another system moving in. But precipitation just between now and about late Thursday night. All right, and this is what it shows. Some of this is falling as snow. A lot of heavy precipitation in California, even for Southern Cal. Some decent precipitation for you guys as standards, and rain. What about snow? What will fall as snow from this? Well, it shows some substantial snowfall accumulations in areas of Nevada. Certainly central to southern areas of Utah. Not sure if this is going to drop any snowfall for like Salt Lake City. We'll see. The northern half and the higher elevations of Arizona, this could be a decent snow event for the ski country and the higher elevations of Arizona, and certainly in northern sections of New Mexico. Some decent snowfall accumulations in these areas. And we'll kind of zoom into these regions probably tonight. We'll try to do that. There's just so much to cover with this. What about the central portion of the country? All right, let's see if we're comparing both model guides. And we are. The central portion of the country, not a whole lot changed from last night. We're getting into the middle of the night, Thursday night and Friday morning. So late Thursday night, we got moderate to heavy snow falling across eastern Colorado. Does it make it to Denver? We got to watch. And then as we're getting to Friday morning, I would say a moderate snow event begins to start over most of Kansas, especially southern to southwest and western Kansas. Could get some snow in the far northern counties of the Panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma for sure. It's going to be right on the border. It's like the rain-snow lines right in the Oklahoma-Kansas border. But there's an area of snow we watch for, but watch as we keep going. This is just rain down here in Texas. Watch as we keep going. The system kind of fizzles out, becomes more of this dominant low down here. And, a few days ago, it was showing some snow for areas of Missouri, northern Arkansas. But now this is kind of fizzling up and drying up on the northern extent of the system. But, hang on for my folks in Missouri, Illinois, even Iowa, northern Arkansas. We got to watch this storm system behind it. But we're not talking about that yet. But this continues and turns into an absolutely washout of rain as we are entering the end of our work week into the start of our weekend. What about the GFS for this? And here it comes. Kind of the same situation. They're kind of beginning to kind of hone in together, kind of agree with one another. There's still some ticks one way or the other, but the GFS shows a pretty moderate snow event across areas of Colorado. Then we're getting into Friday morning, and there it is. That's a pretty decent snow event across most of Kansas. A little bit of snow on the GFS working its way into the northwest areas of Arkansas, southwest Missouri, and then it fizzles out. It really does, and, it turns into this dominant area. But the GFS still maintains an area of energy back here. Late Friday night and a Saturday morning might deliver some snow for Kansas City. Snow up here also on the GFS that could deliver some light snowfall accumulations. All right, so what about the middle of the country? I will tell you, we are in range of the National Weather Service forecast, and they're already forecasting a couple inches of snow in eastern Colorado and south of Denver, down to Boulder. I say Denver points south and east and southeast would get more snow from this. But this is only going out the Friday morning. It's still snowing in these areas. Remember that. And then it's already, just through Friday morning. Remember, it's still snowing. It's already forecasting 1, 2, maybe 3 inches of snow in areas of western Kansas. Even has some snow forecasted for southern Nebraska. But we take a look at some of these operational runs. The Euro really likes southern Kansas and western Kansas, and then, of course, the southeast 1/4 section of Colorado, if that's a thing. And it really likes northeast New Mexico, too, and even the panhandle of Oklahoma and northwest panhandle of Texas for accumulating snow. It really likes this area. What about the GFS? It's a little bit further north. But, man, the GFS gives you guys a pretty significant snowstorm across Kansas, Dodge City. But look how fast it cuts off once it gets to the Kansas City into Missouri. So watch out eastern Colorado and these areas. But I don't think this is a system for Oklahoma at all unless you live in the far western counties into the Panhandle. So we'll continue to watch that, guys, and we'll continue to fine-tune it. But we're getting very close to this system now. Now for the portion that a lot of people want to see, the eastern U.S. I know most of my viewers in this area in the country, I understand that. but I always want to show the entire kind of shebang with the storm system. But taking a look at the eastern U.S., here it comes. Just rain in Alabama, Mississippi, most of Tennessee, Arkansas. And this is going to be a chilly rain. And this is just your typical El Nino looking track here. But the system does begin to move inland. Here it comes, 1,000 millibar low. We're getting into Saturday morning, and the beginning of a winter storm cranks up across the mountains of North Carolina. But one thing I want to watch, I want to monitor trends with this. Look at the ice showing up outside the mountains now to the Triad of North Carolina, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Hickory, getting close to Charlotte, Shelby, North Carolina. Look at the pink. This is all snow mostly in the mountains of North Carolina. Even some pink showing up in Tennessee. This is something we need to watch. And as we get closer to this, we'll begin to zoom into these areas. There's no point in doing it now, or these videos would last an hour and a half. But we're getting deeper into Saturday. At this point, we're getting to Saturday midday. Look at this all-out winter storm moving into Virginia, higher elevations of West Virginia. And watch as you got heavy snow on the back end and what looks like an upper-level low moving through areas of Kentucky. Heavy snow it's moving through Lexington. Getting close to Louisville. Bowling Green seeing heavy snow from this, even the northern counties of Tennessee. We take it all the way to Saturday evening. Heavy snow begins to fall in D.C., Baltimore. You're right on that rain snow line. This is mostly rain for the Delmarva, the Richmond area. Certainly rain from North Carolina for the most part. It looks like you go from ice to rain in North Carolina in certain areas. Heavy snow from Roanoke to Charlottesville. Most of Virginia, West Virginia seeing snow. Look at the axis of heavy snow and how fast it cuts off. We'll watch that. Southeast Ohio is getting crushed right here. And then we're getting into the overnight hour Saturday night. This coming Saturday night, time frames right in here. 06Z Sunday would be around midnight Saturday night. Hanging on to snow for dear life just north. It's snowing like crazy in D.C. and Baltimore. Just south, it's rain. Looking like you're snowing in Philadelphia, New York City, Long Island. And look at this heavy snow in all the rest of Maryland. Pennsylvania, the entire state seeing snow. We keep this going. 991 millibar low. High pressure is trending colder, I think, in this case. This is a pretty cold storm for southern New England. So even though the heaviest precipitation isn't quite getting fully wrapped up into southern New England, this is heavy snow falling in pretty cold temperatures in the 20s. So this is accumulating rapidly. Connecticut, Rhode Island getting crushed here. When I say crushed, I probably should back off from that word. But from what y'all have seen the last winter and a half, 2 winters, this is a heavy hitter for sure. And then it gets this moderate to heavy snow all the way up to Boston. Heavy snow accumulating as we're getting into Sunday morning. Still snowing back in New York City Sunday afternoon. And then it wraps up as some snow Sunday night into Monday morning, and then we're done. What about the GFS? Latest GFS, hot off the press. Here it comes Saturday morning. Same thing. Starting out with some ice very close to Charlotte. Certainly in Hickory. Up here in Statesville. Winston-Salem area, ice. You don't like to see that. So onset ice kind of situation. Same thing. You get into Saturday afternoon. Major winter storm. Has ice a little bit deeper into central Virginia, heavy snow back here in Kentucky, southeast Ohio, even has some snow back here in southeast Indiana. You keep this going. This is mainly all snow for Washington, D.C., but you're starting to get the snow a little bit closer to northern Delaware. New Jersey, heavy snow for about 75% of the state. This really hits central Maryland pretty hard with heavy snow, and this low is even further off the coastline. So therefore, this is more of a suppressed look. Does not get as much heavy snow up here to southern New England, but it definitely gets moderate to at times heavy snow. But it just does not get this precipitation way up here. It looks like Maine is pretty much left out from both of these events. But as you get into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, you could have some more precipitation that fills in based off the latest GFS. Remember I've been kind of mentioning the last couple of videos, watch out for some back-end energy behind this system. And here it is, showing up Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, light to moderate snow across the Northeast continues to linger around, adding to additional snowfall totals. That's something we need to watch. But, man, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia, I don't know about Tennessee, points northeast everybody needs to watch out with this. Could be your classic doozy of a winter storm for these mid-Atlantic and northeast areas. What about the European ensemble? What we do know here, and this is in 24-hour kind of sections here, 24-hour mean of snow. So if you notice it disappears right in here, it's because it's sectioning it off in 24 hours. That's a solid signal for a snowstorm in all those areas. I mean, Kentucky, all the way to New York City, everybody in between, to Boston, solid signal for snow. It's important to look at these ensemble means, okay? And not just the operational run, but look at it. Look down North Carolina. Boone getting over it shows Boone getting over a half a foot of snow. You know, it likes this area right in here, especially right into here with Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia, and southern areas of Pennsylvania. So what about the GFS ensemble? If you notice, it still gets this pretty far north. And I'll back this up for Kentucky and Ohio. But it really bullseyes the mid-Atlantic. You got over a half a foot mean of snow in Washington, D.C. And it really likes northern VA and the panhandle of West Virginia and southern Pennsylvania. Really hits you guys pretty hard. And if you compare some of these operational runs, and here it is. You know, I'm not going to mention all these areas, guys, but, you know, it does like southern sections of southern New England, and it loves the mid-Atlantic. It does not get a lot of heavy snow deeper into the higher elevations or just the interior sections of New England. But, I mean, it does give you guys some love in Kentucky. And look at the higher elevation. I'm telling you, if you're picking this weekend to go to the mountains of North Carolina, like I said, you might have picked a fantastic weekend to go. And, I mean, really the mountains of anywhere in the southern Alps. What about the GFS? This is the interesting thing to look at. Doesn't get as much snow up into areas of southern New England. Just a moderate event, 4 to 6 inch event. At the mid-Atlantic, it hits really hard. But look at D.C. right in here, Baltimore, Philadelphia. You're right on the fringe of not being in glory if you're a winter weather fan. You know, you go into the Delmarva and look at this sharp cutoff. That says 1.4 inches right up against 10.5 inches. I think somebody's going to be very upset. I really do. But fortunately, guys, when you like to see this, and I've mentioned this many times in my videos, you're going to miss before you hit in areas further south. I don't like the ice signal from this. I think somebody's going to get a nasty ice event. This is the blend of all models. It's not that scary at all. Just a few 1/100ths of an inch, 1/10 of an inch here. But I want to watch to see how this trends from North Carolina. I really do. I'm not going to really discuss the pattern that much. We'll do that again this evening's video, but just, you know, to not make this video 45 minutes long like most of them have been, let's just talk about the signal behind it. So this storm system, number one, that we just broke down, heads on out. This moves on out. All right. Then here comes our next storm system, delivering a lot of snow across the Rockies, and there it is. We've been talking about this for almost a week now. I mentioned it way back about a week ago, saying I was concerned about a huge storm system across the middle of the country, and it's looking like it's going to happen at this point. 992 millibar low right over eastern areas of Oklahoma. You know, I get my states mixed up sometimes. It's not that I don't know where they are, just tongue twisters here. You got a 986 millibar low right over here over the northwest corner of Arkansas. You got rain switching to extremely heavy snow, probably in this area right here, the Midwest. Look, there's enough cold air damming going on here in the higher elevations of the Alps for onset snow and winter weather on the Euro. But this could turn into a big winter storm, potentially, for St. Louis points north to Chicago to the Great Lakes region. South of this 978 millibar low, and in this case, it's in around the 980s. You are definitely going to have a severe weather threat sometime next Monday, next Tuesday across the Deep South. We'll talk about that here in a second. When you have a strong low cutting like this is no doubt going to bring warm, moist air out the Gulf. No doubt. Right out ahead of this with an incredible climatic environment rolling right over that moist environment. So you're going to have a sector of ingredients that's going to support severe weather. And then this continues to move. We'll have to watch the Northeast with these trends, guys. It looks like a winter weather event going to just a wind-driven rain with cold air back behind it. But you start to get into next Wednesday morning. This looks like a big winter storm for somebody. But look at this cold air punch behind it, switching it to snow and back here in Tennessee. And then there could be another system behind it. What about the the GFS with the latest system? There goes our first system pulling out, little backside energy flying in behind it. And then here comes our big system behind this. This cuts a little bit further east. You got a 980 millibar low right over the Mississippi Delta here in Mississippi. Onset winter weather across the southern Alps. And then you got the big snow starting to pump out across areas of the Midwest. And this is a more substantial winter weather event further south. But Chicago's still getting a lot. St. Louis, you're very close depending on the track of this low pressure. For Kansas City, look at northern Arkansas, heavy snowfall. Look at the ice in these areas. We'll get closer to this when we get rid of this storm that's right out in front of us. But there's two major ones. And you keep going, and same thing, 977 millibar low scooting across the country. But watch how high pressure influences the track of this low right here. But there's probably going to be severe weather based off this run of the GFS too. But this would be a heavy hitting winter storm for the Midwest as we're getting into next Tuesday, week out, not far out, Great Lakes region, Northeast getting a lot more winter weather from this than what the Euro was showing. And look at this back end punch of cold air switching rain to snow. A lot of heavy winds probably behind this across areas of the Mid-South and the Ohio Valley. And then this heads on off. And, you just see all the energy behind this too, guys. I mean, there's a lot. There's another big-time winter storm as we get past 300 hours out. The signal for this is very strong, guys, and there it is. That's a heavy signal for another winter weather event about 6 to 7 days out across areas of the plains, Colorado. And then look how the signal just remains the same. Pretty decent signal in St. Louis, points north, Quincy. Certainly the Davenport region and Iowa City and all those areas, Chicago, most of the 75% in the northern half of Illinois. Decent signal still there for Kansas City. So a Great Lakes region, even higher of a signal. And we switched this to the eastern U.S. and there it is, guys. Heavy signal. And this signal pops off also, and this is in 24-hour increments. Signal is very strong also for these favored areas and these high elevations of the Appalachian Mountains, and even the inland areas of the Northeast. So if the inland areas of New England misses with this system this weekend, you could have another system behind it that delivers a hit. But look at the Great Lakes region, Chicago. Watch out, Detroit points north. This could be a heavy hitter for you folks. Really could. There's going to be a severe weather side to this too. Already for day 7. This is next Monday. 6 to 7 days from now. 15% risk of severe weather issued. I talked about this, how I thought this would happen a couple videos back, and here it is. From Houston all the way to the Panhandle of Florida. I think this could have the potential to be a significant severe weather event, and this is why. As this low digs down, it's going to pull all this warm, moist air across the Gulf states. And here it is. You're getting into Monday evening. You got these dew points in the 60s in January. Okay, and this continues into Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. Look at these dew points in Georgia and the Carolinas into the 60s, even some 70s for January. And you mix this with this highly climatic environment, guys. Look at this trough digging down. It's around neutral. It's around positively tilted here. But look how it takes on almost a more negatively tilted trough here. And look at these winds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, several thousand feet up in the air. You mix in this moist sector down here, and you got all these winds aloft. You got 100 to 115 knot mid-level jet. The low-level jet will probably be flying to it at higher than interstate speed. So you overlap these kinematics with the thermodynamics that I just showed you, which are the dew points. And someone at minimum is going to get a nasty line of storms, I think, next week across the Deep South. This is something that will become a much bigger storyline as we move deeper in time. We just have so much information out ahead of us to dissect here. That's all I got. We'll do it again this evening. God bless all y'all. Thank y'all for the support and have a fantastic day.